you can become absolutely magnetic to your desires so that you don't have to push or force or try so hard to make them happen. Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Lorena. I am a self-concept coach and I support women to shift their self-concept, shift their identity, change their state of being, embody a new state of being, and ultimately manifest anything that they desire in their life. If you like this video, please do leave a like below, and if you want more videos like this, please subscribe and switch on the notifications so that you get updated every week when I post a new video for you. And lastly, before we get into the bulk of the content, I want to invite you to also check out the links in the description box below, because you have a bunch of free resources there, guidebooks, masterclasses, all kinds of things to get you started on your journey of changing your self-concept. Today we're going to talk about becoming absolutely magnetic and irresistible to your desires. And I'm getting a bit teary-eyed because I'm like so excited for this topic. So let's begin what magnetism or being magnetic even means. And it's pretty self-explanatory from the name itself, right? It's in the name. You are magnetic when you are a magnet. So that means things come to you with ease. People are magnetically drawn to you. And it often doesn't make logical sense. It's often not something that you consciously do, but it's just this energetic shift in your being that makes people, opportunities, things just come to you with so much ease. And I'm sure you've experienced this when maybe somebody entered the room and you just had to look, like something just pulled you towards them, or you were just like completely drawn to a specific person and it didn't make sense why. That is magnetism. And you can also apply this to your desires. Whatever it is that you want, whether it's a loving relationship, whether it's finding your tribe, whether it's a successful career, whether it's making a lot of money, whether it's living in a specific place or traveling the world or having lots of adventures, having a family, whatever your desire is, you can become absolutely magnetic to your desires so that you don't have to push or force or try so hard to make them happen. Because when you are in a state of being magnetic, and I'll get more into how to do that later in this video, you essentially become irresistible to your desires. It's important that you know that your desires exist already. They are already here. You're not trying to create something out of thin air. And often it's not that we don't have access to these desires, it's often that you repel them through your energy, through your resistance, through unprocessed emotions, through your beliefs, your state, your consciousness. So it's often not that you need to force anything to happen and you need to push and make something happen, but it's more that you need to remove the barriers that prevent you from accessing what's already available. So essentially, you are not available for it rather than the other way around. It's always available to you. And what happens when you're in a state of magnetism is that your energy suddenly opens up and you become open to the things that have always been available to you. So that's when money, people, opportunities, desires just come to you without you having to try. Magnetism is essentially the secret to effortless manifestation. Now, very important caveat. That does not mean that you are just sitting around doing nothing, waiting for something to magically happen or fall into your lap. Because you first need to get into that magnetic state. You need to do the work to make yourself open up, to make yourself available to it. So that requires energy and work from you, but I'll get to that later. I personally have experienced the state of magnetism so much this year, and it took me really some fine-tuning to figure out how to get there. But this year in particular, things have manifested so freaking fast. I would set an intention and it would just come the next day. I have never had so many amazing men being openly attracted to me, pursuing me. I was always the little wallflower in the corner. I have never met so many new people in such a short time frame and made genuine connections and had so much joy in those connections. And I have never made money as effortlessly as I have this year. it's not because I'm some lucky, lazy bitch. It's because I actually put in the work to embody this energetic state of magnetism and to become this new version of myself. Because of all this, I want to dedicate this video to giving you some guidance how you can do the same, or you can at least begin to get on the journey towards doing the same. So, how to become magnetic? Firstly, we need to acknowledge that it's an energetic state of being. So it's essentially the energetic signature, and I know this sounds abstract, but just feel into it, just receive this, that you enter the room with. It's essentially your aura, and it's the part of you that is felt before you are seen. And you experience this all the time when somebody enters the room and you just get like either a really nice vibe or you get a good vibe or it's kind of neutral. That is their aura that you are feeling. That's their energy, their state that you are feeling. And most people don't really work on expanding their aura, because when your aura is sort of contracted, that's when you give off this negative energy, bad vibes. That's when you repel the very things you want. And it's also when you may be more irritated or more reactive and things just do not flow. The second element is your nervous system, because your nervous system is key for receptivity. Essentially, you need to feel safe to receive and it needs to feel natural to receive. Your energy field needs to be open. A lot of people don't realize that without consciously intending to, they are actually repelling the very things that they want through their resistance, through their fear, through them not being open. For example, you may say that you want success, but actually you fear the consequences of having success. So let's say you want a big social media following, but then you don't want any haters. Or you want a lot of money, but you don't want the responsibility of managing that money. Or you want an epic love story, but you don't want to make yourself vulnerable. Expanding your nervous system means you are expanding yourself into the version of you who effortlessly attracts the things that you want and who doesn't fear what comes with that. Expanding your nervous system also means feeling safe. So it also means regulating your nervous system. And safety means something different to every single person, because we all actually have different experiences. So we have different states that we begin with in our nervous systems. And it's also not just about regulation. It's more about expansion and getting out of your comfort zone, essentially. It's about stretching yourself out of what's familiar, out of what's comfortable, so that at some point what was once unfamiliar feels natural and normal to you. The third point is you need to open your heart. And I use the word open multiple times, but having an open heart is so important, and it's so freaking scary because everyone has some wounds and some pains from the past, whether that started in your childhood or earlier, or it was in your teenage years, or it was last week. We all carry pain and grief and heartbreak with us. And so we need to make the effort to heal our hearts, to heal from the past, so that we can feel safe to open our hearts. Because without an open heart, you're not going to be open. You're not going to be magnetizing the things that you want. That's why there is no point in trying to resist or bypass circumstances or emotions, because it's here. It's always here. And it's much better to deal with it and to integrate it and to alchemize it than to pretend that it doesn't exist. And the thing is, having an open heart, opening your heart, means that you are open to everything. That includes the pain that you don't want to think about anymore. That includes the heartbreak that you experience. That includes the trauma that you're carrying in your nervous system. And that is a process that takes time. And I also always recommend doing this in a safe container with a trained practitioner. It's why I invested in a trauma training a few months ago, because I really want to have the skill and expertise to hold people through any trauma that they've ever experienced, even if it's very different from what I have experienced. I believe I have a duty to do that as a coach. Things flow to you a lot more easily when the very things that you are blocking out or that you don't want to face stop being your enemy. Essentially, the more you heal from the past, the more you heal your heart. The more you heal your heart, the more you get to open your heart. The more open your heart is, the more receptive you are, the more your capacity to love grows. And as a consequence of that, the more magnetic you'll become. Which brings me to confidence and essentially self-love. So that openness in your heart, that love, that needs to extend towards yourself also, or even first and foremost. Nothing is as magnetic as you loving yourself, fully loving yourself. Now, that doesn't mean saying affirmations and telling yourself things that you don't believe. It means a true embodied love for yourself. It means loving the things that are hard to love, the things you reject, the things you don't want others to know about, the things you even hide from yourself. It also refers to your internal sense of self-worth. So how deserving do you feel of the very things that you want? Because if you don't feel like you deserve it, and again, this is not about telling yourself that you deserve it, but actually feeling it with your whole being, subconsciously and consciously, which also is a process of integration and embodiment, which is a big part of what I do in my program with my clients. It's not just about thinking it and hoping for it or trying to convince yourself of it. It's about actually feeling it and being it. You want to be in that state of embodied self-worth. Because when you truly feel it, like when you truly feel that you deserve it with every cell of your being, it becomes inevitable to your subconscious. And that's when your energy will shift. That's when you become available to it. That's when you become magnetic to it. Now, the other part that I'm not going to go too deep into because it's a whole big topic on its own, and I haven't talked about this a lot publicly, but I do work with this in my coaching program, and that is magnetism is a feminine energetic. And when I say the word feminine, this doesn't come from a gendered place, but I do support my clients in essentially integrating their feminine and masculine energetics. You can also use yin and yang. You can use lunar and solar. But essentially, when these energies are in balance and in union and in alignment, and they are integrated, things flow and unfold beautifully because you're not fighting any part of yourself. You're not in a state of misalignment. It's this equilibrium. So if this is a topic that interests you, leave me a comment and let me know. And maybe I can create a video on this specifically. But I'm mentioning it because magnetism is a very feminine energy. It's receptive, it's open, it's surrendered. It's not forcing or pushing or resisting, and it doesn't chase or pursue. It just attracts and magnetizes effortlessly. So magnetism is very passive, but again, that doesn't mean not doing anything. Magnetism is actually the result of doing a lot first. Opening yourself up to receive through expanding your nervous system, that's a lot of work. Healing your heart, doing the emotional work, that's a lot of work. Building confidence and embodying more self-worth and really falling deeply in love with yourself, that's a lot of work. And taking action to make yourself available to the opportunities. That's also what you need to do, even though magnetism is such a passive energy. You need to put yourself in situations where you can even let that energy play out. If you're the most magnetic person on earth and you're just sitting at home, that erases the magnetism immediately. So maybe it's going to the speed dating event that you don't really feel comfortable going to, but your confident self wouldn't mind. The woman who's magnetic wouldn't mind. Maybe it is investing in the coaching program that you know will get you to that next level, to that next identity. Because maybe right now you worry about money or safety or commitment or time, but your abundant and receptive and regulated self wouldn't mind. Your confident self would go for what she wants. Maybe it's making eye contact with a stranger, even though your past self would never do that. But if you're in a magnetic energy, you're not going to pull back. And that doesn't mean you're not going to be discerning. That doesn't mean you're not going to be safe. Disclaimer here, right? Don't put yourself in unsafe situations. Use your common sense, especially as women. You know, it is the reality of things that we do need to be careful with that. But if you want love, your energy needs to be open to love. If you want abundance, your energy needs to be open to receiving it. And so on. So magnetism doesn't come from sitting around being invisible and hoping for the best. A lot of people aren't willing to put in the work, but in order to first become magnetic, you need to put in a lot of work before that even happens. But when you do that, and when you get there, you're going to be rewarded so much for that. because you will get into a state where things just flow to you. And that is the experience that I have been making for most of the year. And it's freaking great here, I'm telling you. If you want more of a deep dive into the topic of magnetism, check out the links in the description box below, because there is a free masterclass there. It was about 2 hours long, and we went into magnetism, how to really do it. There were practices in there, so make sure you check that out. Leave me a comment, let me know what other videos you want me to make, and I'll see you in next week's video.